Hello everybody, this is Maniac4Bricks. I'm here today with set number 71313. This is the Lava Beast from LEGO Bionicle. This is released in 2016 in the summer wave. Ages 7 to 14, has 114 pieces, and it is available for about $15 in the United States. This is one of the creatures that's created after the Mask of Control was taken over Umarak. And this one is supposed to be fighting Tahu according to the box image and even some of the comic book art. We'll take a look more at that later, as well as the mask that is included with Tahu. Well, it's actually included with this figure, but it's from Tahu. So, what's interesting about this figure is it's unlike Ikimu, which we already reviewed, in which it has two types of gearboxes. This one a little bit backs off and has just the waist articulation gearbox. This one looks impressive. This is really cool how the black fits in with a little bit of trans black on the shoulders, a little bit of orange, a lot of actually trans orange all throughout. And the only thing that really stands out is the trans neon green that's in the head area. But this is a really cool looking figure. So we have a couple different functions with him. We'll just wait for it to turn around to the back, where we have the waist articulation, as I mentioned before. It actually does cover up the back pretty well, and for those who are iffy about all the pins, the red actually works in pretty well. Blue, as usual, does not. So you can turn this back and forth. It's a little stiff, but I've, gotten used to it after a couple figures, so it's not too bad. The knees are a pretty interesting custom-like creation. As you can see, it's a little bit different from what we've had before, where these are actually a little bit more, buildable and actually still serve the same purpose. You still have the knee bend there, but it kind of looks awkward in the front without any sort of covering, and just the way that it kind of sticks out over the rest of the leg there is a little bit odd to me. I do like how the teeth are, there's kind of toes on the bottom on there, and they do have a little bit of support on the back because these are actually the same feet used from the protectors. Now we also have some pretty cool articulation in the arms. It's mostly the same as we've had with most other figures, but I would add in that there's actually some finger articulation. This by itself is a good design for having a posable hand. And you can kind of see how that's built up from the back. So again, pretty good on just making it more unique. This one has it with some of those Technic, ratcheted pieces. So you have the thumb here and two fingers on each hand. So you can actually move these around, move them inward, even move each finger independently, and make some cool poses with it. They even show on the box art that's how they hold Tahu's mask. Now we also have another pretty interesting unique part. This is the lava blades from Tahu, but in a new color, actually a nice mold between colors. So this has a function where you could actually turn the gear and move the blades back and forth, so you can have a swiping motion with it. If you have them in a certain pose, you can just have them lash out to the front, or you can just actually pose them like this, and it'll stay in the same pose because of the friction in the blue pin. You can also move the rest of the arm around it, and I definitely like these crystal shard type pieces, which are relatively new to me in that color. And we'll take a closer look at the head in just a moment, which, by the way, has quite the build from some of the other heads that we've had in Bionicle G2. This one has some of the trap pieces from the back, a new mold in the front, obviously a new mask there, and quite a bit of a head build up there. You actually do have a little bit of way to get in there, but it's a little tough thing because of this trap piece from last year. I haven't really talked about it until this point, but the chest armor is a printed piece, and the chest armor is a very nice piece. I definitely like how that looks with the magma lava feel to it, and you can even use that for custom builds, and actually would look pretty nice just as an orange and black combination with a little bit of dark red inside of there. Now, this head is actually built a pretty unorthodox way. The neck is down back here instead of on the head mold, which is actually around here. So you have to move it from this side in order to get the real neck articulation. Otherwise, it wouldn't really work too well with this one because of the horns and this mouth in the way. Yes, that's supposed to be an open, gaping mouth, And that's also why, if I were just to take this out, it's a little hard to take it out because of the full assembly, but it actually does have quite the build compared to other figures. And I believe some of the other beast creatures in this line also have a similar build to have that gaping mouth in the bottom. But it looks pretty nice, and we also have a trans neon green head, which is new for this wave of Bionicle, which up to this point have only had dark bluish gray from what I recall. So this looks pretty nice, and unfortunately you can't really close the mouth. It's always going to be gaping open, which I think is a little bit of a downside, because if you were to try to close it like you saw, it wouldn't actually close, it would just knock the mask off. Now let me just knock the mask off one more time, and I'm just going to replace it with Tahu's mask and see if it actually fits on there. No, not quite. These are in the way, so it's not really going to fit with that. So I'm just going to move this figure over. I'm going to bring in Akimu, which I've already reviewed right before this video, and I'm just going to fit the mask on him to show how that looks. So it's basically the same mask we had from Tahu earlier in the year, but it has a little bit of a dual mold on the back. Before we move on to our final results, here's a quick look at the back of the instructions. We have a little bit of the Ultra builds for Star Wars shown here. We have this large combo model with all of the beasts and Umarak the Destroyer in the corner. So that's a pretty impressive combo model, which the instructions are on LegoBionicle.com. And they also showed the Netflix series and the app for the game. They also have this nice mini poster in here, and even some of the comic book we talked about earlier, where the Lava Beast fights Tahu, and in this case, he doesn't seem to win because his mask in this set seems to show so. That's all that we have there. Let's move on. Speaking of Akimu, why not just bring him in for this little pose, just to show between the Toa Uniter of earlier in the year. This is Onua, which I have not reviewed yet, but I will get to him at some point. We have the Lava Beast in the center, and he actually is holding the Tahu mask right there, which is very nice and actually holds very well, and Akimu himself right next to him. So it's a good size for all three of these in this wave, especially for these two matching up with the previous wave, but even these two to each other has a good formidable size and a good amount of posability and even unique features. I definitely like how these sets are coming along. Let me know what you guys think about them in the comments below. Thank you for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and you can check me out with more Bionicle reviews on this channel as well as other LEGO set reviews. I'm working on a Bionicle mask wall, which is one reason why I wanted to get some of the masks from these sets. So you can check that out. It's its own playlist right now, pretty recently uploaded. And I will try to get to more of the Bionicle G2 Generation 2 wave sets, especially Onua in the corner where I haven't reviewed him yet, but I'll get to him at some point. And we'll see you next time with more LEGO videos.